All right, finally back in the shop. Got some time to make some long format content. And what I'll be making is another one of these small hunters. So I had a client ask for one of these, but she wants an integral guard. So the Damascus will be one piece with the guard. So what I'm gonna do is the Damascus that I use, I'm gonna do my best to forge this as close to shape as I can because I want the pattern to flow into the guard. So I could easily forge this close to shape and then just grind away everything, but that would make it so some of the lines may not transition into the guard the way I want them to. So I'll do my best to forge this close to shape. We'll see how I feel, you know, an hour into it. Hopefully I don't take that long, but anyway, this is the piece of Damascus I'll be using. I've got a nice piece of Damascus that I made a while ago that I haven't quite smashed down into a bar like this one. So I'll have to go up to about here and smash this down, draw this out to my desired thickness, and then I'll have way too much on the end here, so I'll probably just draw this out and then make some other knives out of the front of it. But I'll need to clean up some of these cold shuts before I can really forge this to shape. So we'll get it close. I'll clean out the cold shuts on the grinder, and then from there we'll forge it as close to shape as we can. So this video won't be like an instructional video. What I'll do is I'll just forge this, and then along the way I'll kind of point out some things that I'm doing and why I'm doing them. So this will be more of just a, I guess, watch me forge it, and we'll see how that goes. So let's get everything situated, get the forge on, and get this chunk of steel hot. So here's the beauty of working out of a small garage shop, is sometimes you have more equipment than you have space for. So then you've got to adjust things so that you can do certain aspects of the work. Get my hoses connected so I can kick the forge on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut this billet off just where it starts getting really thick, because I don't want to waste energy heating up all this big chunk that I'm not going to even be using right away. So I'm going to pop this in the bandsaw, cut it off about here, make things a little easier on myself. Let's get this forge lit. we go. While that forge is heating up, I need to get my anvil into place, and I'm going to be using my 12-ton press to do some of this work. So I'll swing this over here and do a good spot, get around to things. I'm also going to be using the post vise to be able to get some of the shaping done that I need. And then of course I've got some tooling that I'll be able to do my shaping with. And we've got the forge up to about 1800 degrees. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this chunk in and get it heating up. That was an awkward drop in there. That a little more centered. There we go. So I still got a huge mess from prepping for Blade Show West. So I'll be cleaning a little bit as I go today. I definitely need to do a deep clean. But anyway, so the first dies I'm gonna be using are gonna be my butcher dies, because I want to isolate the guard before I do anything else, because if I mess that up, then I've kind of messed up everything. So like I've said in previous videos, you got to do little bits at a time. Don't let anything get too far gone. If you stick to that, then you usually won't have any issues. But as soon as something gets too far gone, like if I don't do this first, I may hit it in the wrong spot while I'm forging it, and then next thing you know, I don't have material where I need it to be, and then I just have to start over again. So butcher dies, and we're gonna isolate that guard from the blade. So this part's kind of important. I'm gonna put my kiss blocks in here because I do not want to go past my blade thickness. So I've got to get the right thickness in here for my kiss blocks. And I don't know where my magnets went. I kind of need the magnets. So this knife, I keep it about, the final thickness is about 3/16. I mean, I can go thinner than that if I want to, but this guy's usually about that. So if I can keep the thickness before I start grinding at about, you know, like 0.2, then we should be good. So that's gonna be a little bit too thin. So throw some, I think these are 1/8 inch, 3/32. Just one more little stack on there. And I think, yep, that's 0.2 exactly. So we should be good right there. I might even be able to go a little bit thinner, but we're fine. I'll have more opportunity to take that down as I go. Okay, we've got some warm steel. Let's bring this over and see if we can start pulling this down. Maybe about there should be good. Get that nice and isolated. And as you can see, we've isolated a guard area. It's a little crooked, but we're fine. You can see it's crooked. So I'm just gonna put this back in, and then we're gonna switch over to the drawing dies and then stretch this out. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna stretch a little bit with the butcher dies, which we can do. Just not too much or you're gonna create cold shuts. There we go. Got the drawing dies on, got my kiss blocks in with the thickness that I don't want to go past. So let's draw this out a little bit. So, as you can see, way too much material for the knife we're making. But again, I can make other knives out of the front of this. Okay, let's heat this back up, do another round. So once I get this to thickness, I'm gonna grind the sides of this to get the cold shuts out of it so that we can start forging the shape. So I got this thing drawn out pretty close to where I want it as far as thickness goes. So I'm gonna use my little 12-ton hot cut, and we're just gonna cut off a big old chunk of this. Might as well do it at a little bit of an angle. This is probably way more than I need, but we'll just do it right here. Yeah, we'll be good with that. Should be plenty. Throw that back in the forge to heat it up just a little bit, and then I just got to break that off. And typically when I do that, just bring this on over to the post vise. Lock it down. And just bend it back and forth, and as it cools, it tends to become more rigid, less pliable, and then it'll just kind of snap off of there. Maybe. There we go. So now we got our chunk of steel. And this guy, I'll finish drawing out to a thickness and then make some knives out of it. So the next step for this is I'm gonna smash this down to a width. Basically, I want to get the width down to where I can grind out all the cold shuts. For the guard, this is gonna be plenty of width. It's the blade section that I've gotta pull way down. And then as I'm doing that, I have to remember that I have features that I have to take into consideration. So for instance, the backside of the guard is gonna bump up just a little bit. So once I get this down with thickness, I have to make sure not to hit that and smash it down to the same height as the blade, or I just don't get that feature. And then same thing on the front of the blade, I've gotta have the guard come, I mean, it's about about 3/4 to an inch past the blade, I think. I have to measure. But then, you know, it's gonna go out and come back. So I have to keep in consideration all of those features as I'm forging this. So again, it always just goes back to don't let things get too far gone. So let me heat this back up and then we can smash it down just a little bit and get this to the width we need it to be. All right, let's get this down a little bit here. Got to be careful with the thin spots so that you don't fold over the blade material like I've done right here. Not too folded over, but now I've just got to get on the anvil and straighten this out, or I could straighten it out right here. Yeah. So as you can see, I've got little low spots right there, and I need the middle of that billet. So we got to smash that down some more. So the guard needs to be about 2 inches, while the blade needs to be about 1.25 inches wide. So right now you can see I'm a little shy of 2 inches, but this is so thick that I've still got to bring this down, bring the width down, the thickness down. So when I do that, I'm going to use my fullering dies so it stretches the width to where I want it. But of course I'm going to do that after I've gotten all these little valleys out of here. So just got to work on that part. I've got the fullering dies on, and I haven't taken this to the grinder yet, so I figured it might be better to do this before the grinder, because to get those low spots out, I'd need to flatten it quite a bit. So I'm really hoping that this pushes the low spots out just a little bit more, so it'll be better for grinding. All right, just checking to make sure we're still kind of centered on there, which we are. Thickness wise on the guard, I usually stay about 3/4 inch. So we'll see where we are with this. So I've still got plenty of room. So now with it like this, actually I just might wait until I do a little bit of shaping, because as you can see, I'm still getting that little dip and I don't want that. So I'll probably take this on the anvil and kind of hit it on its bias to try to push some of this material back to the inside, because that's still really too much to be taking off. So over to the anvil, heat this up and then over to the anvil. All right, let's see what we can get here. That's actually doing it. That's pushing stuff where we want it. So we're gonna go a few more hits. That's looking better. So it's really pooched out right down in here. Right down in here. And in here. So what I'm thinking is, because I've got so much material down here, that I just might take the separation from the guard down to here. Thinking back, maybe we should have done this before we isolated the guard from the blade. So anyway, I'm gonna start pushing this material down just a little bit and bringing the top of our guard down to this spot. All right, back in the forge. So I got this down close enough that I'm gonna be happy doing the forging, but we've got to make one more isolation, and that's down here at the bottom of where the guard will be, so we can get a tang out of this. And also got to go this way. Heat this guy back up, do a little bit more. Now remember, all this stuff can be done by hand. I mean, if you don't have this machinery, you can easily do this by hand. I mean, not easily, it takes a lot more work. But you know, you can build these tools. I've built these tools before, and they're pretty simple. You're basically just building a sort of spring like this, and then you know, whatever size your hardy hole is, you pop it in there. I know a lot of people will do this right above the hardy hole, but there's no mass behind here, so it just, things don't move as easily if you're over the center of mass. So I bring it over here, and then, you know, you put your material in there, you hit this. This spring's a little large, but anyway, you put whatever shape you want in here, and then you hit this, and it keeps everything centered. So pretty easy to make tools like this. All right, we're almost ready to, yeah, this tang is really thick right now. Don't mind that. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this on the grinder and grind away any of these cold shuts that I have before. I feel like that tang needs to be shifted that way a little bit, just like that. So yeah, I've moved it to the back because I know that all this is gonna get shifted that way, so there we go. Anyway, tang is really thick right now. That'll get fixed. The main thing we have to remember when forging is not to hit the guard. We want that as thick as possible. Anyway, I'm gonna do a little grinding to get these cold shuts out, and then we're gonna start getting the shape forged. It's a bad place for that. So we're gonna be doing some hot grinding. So we're gonna need two sets of tongs. And I'm just gonna keep checking down here. I like to grind perpendicular to the cold shuts because it's much easier to see them. So basically just gonna take away material until I see that those cold shuts are gone. We will be doing grinding after the fact, but I just want these cold shuts gone so we don't have to worry about them at the end. And most likely the front of this is going to get cut off anyway, so. All right, good to go. And before I pop this back in the forge, see all the pretty temper colors. All right, the first thing I gotta do is, this thing is way too long, so I gotta trim this off. So this is about the length I want. Boy, that's hot. So I'm gonna trim that off right there. See if I can just bend this off right here. Okay, so we're gonna get a basic shape on this blade. Boy, I wonder if I got too much air coming in. Seems like a lot of, I have to adjust my mixture. Anyway, pop this back in there, and it's gonna end up getting cut off again because we got to do the shaping and all that, but this will make it a little more manageable to work with. Okay, let's work on getting the tip. As you can see, when I cut this off, I already cut it off at a little bit of an angle just to make life a little easier. No need to make things any harder than they need to be. Now remember, the thing you don't want to do is hit the guard area. So be really careful up in that spot. And this is a recurve, so I need to add a little recurve to this. And again, this is all getting ground down, so I'm just trying to get it close just to keep the pattern flowing through the blade. And this right here is the shape we're after. So I've got to come off straight with the recurve and then drop the point down to give it kind of a little bit of a Persian feel, I guess. Not quite as extreme as a Persian, but give it that drop point recurve. And then once I get this into a basic shape, we'll work on that guard. So I'm going to do something a little different because, again, because I'm trying to keep the flow of the pattern, I'm going to try to hammer in a little bit of the ricasso. It will obviously require some grinding after the fact, but I'm going to try and hammer that in just a little bit. All right. Let's see if we can do this here. Pop that in there a little tighter. Alright, so you can see I got the ricasso put in there. Again, it'll be refined through grinding. But so you can see I got a little thin spot up here. Still, I believe that's going to be within the thickness, but I'm going to try to push some of this material back that direction. I got to heat this back up. All right, we're getting there. And we're really thick on the bottom. I know it's black, but I'm not really doing forging stuff. Just kind of planishing. Okay, let's see what we can do with this guard. I've somehow got to get this material pushed back forward. Worst case scenario, I'll put it in the post vise and just smash it down that direction. So we'll see what happens. Heat it up one more time and get this an even thickness. Now I'm going to try to get a basic guard shape. I keep saying this, but this isn't a complete brute to forge guard build, even though I guess it could be, but this is Damascus and they want it all shiny and pretty. So basically I've got to try to draw this front part to a taper while keeping everything centered. So we're going to come back over to the post vise. Lock this guy down. Get this tang out of my way. And we're just trying to basically push the material that way. Heat it back up. getting there, kinda. I'm just trying to, at this point, push this guard material up so that we can have a flat top. I mean, at this point, again, I could grind this and we'd be just fine. But I'm gonna do this just a little bit more. I wanna get a little more length off the front of this. It's like I was saying, we need 2 inches. Well, it's under 2 inches, but as you can see, I've got plenty of material as it is, but I just wanna go over, just to push a little more material in there. All right, a couple more heats. So basically, I need to get this, you can see it's pooching out right there. I just need to smash all this back down to get it flat, get everything centered. And then I'm gonna try to stretch this up so that it's more flat on the top here, and then we'll be good. And then I just have to kind of straighten out the tang. I'm just gonna grind this to shape. There's no point in drawing this out anymore because I have plenty of length and there's not enough material here to do anything else with. So basically clean up now. Everything's pretty centered. The tang's not centered. We have to fix that first. Let me see if I can get this guard fixed up here. Like I was saying, I need to fix this little, how it shoots up like this. I need to push that down so that it's more straight. So I'll work on that too. So I'm just trying to get this cleaned up a little bit to get the thickness more uniform. Still trying to get a little material in the back here, push back a little more to fill in that thin spot. Which is close. Yeah, probably good now. I got a little crazy with the butcher blocks. I think what happened was when I went to do another press, I forgot to put the right kiss block in and it went a little bit thin. So we make mistakes, but it's gonna be okay. All right. The guard is ugly. It's all ugly, really. But it won't be. This is an ugly forging on my part, and I'm gonna own it. It happens. I'm just gonna straighten up this tang a little bit and get it centered. Yeah, that's actually centered. You can't see my view, but I have a big bubble on one side because, well, it's where I just kind of let it go because I knew I'd be grinding it anyway. So I just need to get this going the right direction, which I think it is. I just need to make sure everything is kind of down the middle and straight. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good there. So we're done with the forging. This thing's way bigger than it needs to be. But like I said, it's gonna get ground a lot. So we'll pretty it up. The guard's gonna look nice here. Gotta get stuff moved back into my little shop. Kick the forge off. Get all the safety stuff taken care of. Double check all the valves. I separate the hose so that no propane is going to be going into here. Okay, let's go over this thing really quick. It's still warm, so gotta wear the gloves. So it's clearly longer than what I want it to be. Boy, that's still really warm. So 3.5 inches is where it should be. So you can see that we're at almost 5.5 to the tip. Well, 5.25 to the tip. So got to take off, you know, like an inch and 3/4 or so. Which again, I kind of just basic forging to get this. All I wanted to do is get it so the pattern somewhat flows, so I don't have any starts and stops of the pattern. I want the pattern to go all the way through into the guard, and transitions are going to be really nice. So we're going to make that happen. So my only real concern is we're pretty thin right here, but I don't think it's too thin. So 1/8 to 3/16. 3/16 is usually for my larger knives. 1/8, you're getting down into these thinner knives, or shorter knives, sorry about that. Plenty on the guard. You know, we're 3/4 tall. We got almost 2 through this, which I only need like 1 3/4 or so, 1 7/8. So we're good there. Everything, we're straight, we're all centered up. So basically it comes down to, I just got to do the shaping, and then I'm going to do some grinding of the thickness just to make sure that I'm not too thin down in this area, because if I'm too thin, I'm just gonna have to start over. But I think we're good. I think we're gonna be all right. So there it is, forged, good to go. And that'll be it for this video. So we'll hop into the grinding in the next video. And hopefully this one works out. Like I said, if it doesn't, oh well, turn this into something else, and then just reforge and don't make the same mistakes twice. So as always, thanks for joining me. Appreciate your support. If you have any questions or comments, snide remarks, whatever, just go ahead and leave them down in the comments, and I'll answer your questions. I'll reply to your snide remark with my own snide remark. So tit for tat, I guess. It's not really the adult thing to do, but it's fun. Anyway, see you in the next one.